What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Beyond Your Upline. So today I want to talk about who do you sell to? I mean, who are the people that are going to be the most beneficial, not only for you in purchasing your product, but then also them getting results. So we're going to talk about that in today's episode. So let's get to it. How do you build a successful business in network marketing when everyone you know thinks it's a scam? How do you achieve that dream lifestyle when 99% of distributors quit within their first year, broke and worse off than when they started? If you ask the so-called experts or talk to your family and friends, they will tell you that it's impossible, that it can't be done. But it is being done, and it's happening each and every day by a select group of people that you probably never even heard of. My name is James Cuilty. Join me as I seek to find out how these elite few beat the odds and succeed in network marketing. Welcome to Beyond Your Upline. So I was on Facebook the other day, as I always am, but not because I have nothing to do and I just like to mindlessly scroll, but actually because I'm always looking at the advertisements that pop up or the questions that people pose in different groups, because it gives me a pulse or an idea of what's going on in the marketplace. And if you aren't doing that, I highly recommend that you do that. Facebook is excellent. YouTube is also really good to see, what kind of videos are popping up, and then also to see the type of engagement. Again, I used to, for entertainment, I used to, to scroll to see, what friends were doing and stuff like that, or to see if I got any engagement with any of my posts on Facebook. And then on YouTube, I would, just, search out, videos. But now I use that as a researching tool because I always want to know what's going on in the marketplace, because that is going to give you the ability to be a step ahead of everyone else. Does that make sense? So as I was scrolling through, I saw a question that was on there. I'm not making any sales. I just I don't know what to do. And there was some answers like, well, you just need to talk to more people, or you need to be more authentic, and just a lot of random sort of answers, or so on and so forth, right? And it was interesting because this person literally, obviously, they were doing the work, or they wouldn't be coming up with, hey, I'm not making anything, right? And they were asking a legitimate question. I'm not making any sales. How do I improve this? And it's funny because a lot of the uplines will give you that same generic answer, which is you just need to talk to more people, or you just need to get me on the phone, or this is a numbers game. And again, those are real good little quips, but literally they're not very beneficial from a business standpoint. And there's always a reason why you're not making any sales, and it's usually one I would say, like, one of the major reasons is because the people that you are getting in front of aren't interested in your product, or they're not interested in your service, or they're not interested in starting a business, right? And I learned in one of my marketing programs, that I had purchased, that any top entrepreneur, any top marketer, when they are thinking through, who they want to actually help in the marketplace, right? What kind of problems are there before they actually go and start, creating a solution, right? And what they talked about is there's like three major markets: health, wealth, and relationship. Now, there's a lot of other, markets that go along with there, like hobbies, and you have people that are interested in gardening and all sorts of other stuff. But the health, wealth, and relationship major markets are the tried and true markets. What does that mean? Well, these markets have lasted the test of time, and these are the ones that are always going to be purchasing something. They're the markets that will always have a demand, right? Does that make any sense? And why is that? Well, it's because if you're not healthy, if you're sick, you want to get healthy, right? Everybody wants better health. Everybody wants to look better. Everyone wants to to feel younger. Everyone wants to be in a healthy relationship, right? When you're single, you want to be together. Or and then also, wealth, we want to have the ability to purchase things, right? That wealth gives us freedom. People are always searching things out. It's because those three major markets speak to one of our internal desires, right? And people are always seeking out after those things. And so those are the markets, but people in that market, that is who you want to be selling to. Meaning, so let's say, and again, and you can craft your message to fit any one of those markets. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that amazing? I mean, you literally you could, right? But as a network marketer, as an affiliate marketer, as a home business owner, what you need to think through is simply, okay, well, what market would I really enjoy, or what market would this work best for, right? You got to ask yourself these questions and then kind of reverse engineer the process. Like, so for instance, what I usually go through is um, when in a company, or if they launch like a new product or something, I'll look at the product and I will go through to see like what problem it actually solves, right? And then I would think it's like, okay, well, what market would I be able to jump into that this would be most beneficial? Okay, I'll give you an example, right? So um, my wife gets essential oils, right? And one of the essential oils that she really loves is frankincense. And frankincense is very, very expensive, but it's really great because it helps with a lot of different ailments. It helps with pain and sinuses and stuff like that. I don't know all the basics. My wife is the expert on that, but it's really good as to be mixing with like other different oils, to help boost your immunity and stuff like that, right? So if I was to say, for instance, I was going to sell frankincense as an essential oil, right? I would first look at what if, and you go down your product description, go down and it says what the benefits are, what this thing does, and then I would think back. So let's just say that it helps with pain. Okay, well, I could turn around and I could sell this to the somebody that's in the wealth market. What do you mean? Chiropractors, doctors. Let's just say I'm going to sell this, to plumbers. Okay, plumbers in your local area. Now you're probably thinking like, how in the world are you going to sell frankincense to plumbers in your local area? Really, really simple, right? Because I know that, and I know this. Full transparency, my wife's uncle is a plumber. So just through speaking with him and talking with him, I have an idea of kind of like what they go through. Okay, and one of the biggest issues is that they're always bending over, and they're always on their knees, especially on new construction, and so they're always on the hard concrete. And so over time, that kind of breaks down their knees, and they got really bad achy joints, right? And they got really bad cartilage breakdown and stuff. So they're what they are in pain, right? And so now, like, remember, I said I was going to sell this into the wealth market. So obviously, somebody who owns a plumbing business, how would I sell that to business owners that are in plumbing? And I would approach it from the standpoint, the message being, you know. Does your knees kind of bother you after years and years of kneeling down and doing all of the new construction work as a plumber? Is it really kind of difficult for you to sit at long periods of time or to even stand? And is it hard for you to focus, especially when you're trying to put together proposals in order to land a big client? I totally understand that. And my family who was associated with the plumbing business had that same issue. Now, one of the things that we found was that if you use this essential oil, frankincense, it was actually used in biblical times, and it was very, very expensive, but it was used for medicinal purposes and especially for pain relief. And if you use this and mix it with these other oils, it helps to alleviate that pain. And you and I will both know that when you don't have any pain, you're able to focus more. You're able to go ahead and answer those questions, get that proposal out, and close that deal. But when you are having, pain and you're trying to concentrate, what's going to happen? One, you're going to make mistakes. Two, you're going to not put everything in the deal that you need to, and it's going to cost you, and it could end up costing you millions, right? So I have this special offer that I would like to present to you, and then I would go ahead and give them whatever frankincense package that I had for them. Does that make any sense? Right? And so thinking through before you just start jumping out into the marketplace, thinking through who are you going to sell this to, and remember that health, wealth, and relationships are the major markets. Those are the markets that have been around forever. Those are the markets that people are always buying things from because it satisfies one of their deepest desires. There's need, right? We all want to have relationships. We all want to be with somebody, right? We don't want to be alone. We want to have health, and we definitely want to have a lot of money, right? We all want that. And so anything that will allow us to get to that quicker, faster, and easier, we're going to purchase, right? And so you want to approach it from that angle. So going back to the example that I stated when I first started, when I was scrolling through Facebook, right? This person that wasn't making any sales, they're probably throwing them out there just to anybody that has a pulse. And I know when you're starting off in your business that is the strategy that is given to you. And yes, you do need to talk to a lot of people. Yes, you do need to get out into the marketplace. This is all true, and I'm not saying that this doesn't that negates that. But what I am telling you is that as a business owner and as an entrepreneur, you need to be strategic and you need to be smarter, especially in this day and age where the dollars, people are holding on to their dollars. They're not freely just throwing cash everywhere. You literally have to, be the best option, and you got to be able to communicate that better than anybody else. Because if not, your customer is going to go somewhere else. They're holding on to their checks and their wallets in this type of an economy, right? It doesn't mean that it's a bad economy in the sense that, hey, this is a bad time to start a business. No, what this does, and this is what I love in situations like this. Why, you probably ask yourself, well, why do you love situations like this? Is because when the economy is going great, right, and everyone has all this free cash and everything is great, you can be lazy. And you know what? You could pretty much sneeze and people will buy whatever you have. But when you get into an economy where people are holding on to their dollars, they're being a lot more frugal. They're not really just making these secondary purchases, so to speak. You have to be excellent. You have to develop the skill in order to be a really good marketer. And one of those skills is being able to pick out the customers that are going to be purchasing things in a market, and you got to be able to craft that message. And the only way you can craft a message that will be attracted to your future client is by developing your sales and marketing skills. And so now the cream rises to the top because the people that are willing to put in the effort in order to develop those skills are the ones that come out on top. Those are the ones that succeed. And if you look back in history, even during the Great Depression, right, there was many people who became millionaires during the Great Depression. And don't listen to the history books when they're saying that, oh, because they were shady or anything like that. No, it was because they knew that they had to become better. They had to develop their skill. They couldn't be lazy in their sales and marketing effort. Right? One, they didn't retract. They actually, kept putting more money into the marketplace to get their message out there. And two, they knew that they had to craft a really good message in order to attract the people that were going to buy. Right? Does that make any sense? Because a sales message actually is it develops, I don't want to say develops, but it actually stirs emotion, and people will always buy off of emotion. Right? But what do people normally do? One, they don't even know what market they're selling into, right? So they don't know what the true desire of their customer is. They're trying to assume that, this product is great and everybody needs it. Well, I'm here to tell you, if that was true, everybody would be buying your product, and everybody in your network marketing company would be a millionaire. But that's not true. right? So no, your product is not for everybody in the sense of not everyone is going to buy it. You can't just, hold up the product in front of them and let the product sell itself. That is not true. That is a lie. All right. The people that succeed are the ones that develop the skill that will uh, elicit an emotion in somebody that gets them to pull out their credit card in their wallet and to make that purchase. Does that make any sense? And somebody that wants to be healthy, somebody that wants to make more money, and somebody that wants to have a better relationship. Those are the people or I should say, those are the people that you want to sell to, because they will always, no matter where they are, no matter what's going on in the world, people always want to have a healthier relationship. They always want to be with somebody. They don't want to be alone. I don't care what anybody else says on the news. Nobody wants to be alone, right? And people, especially now, people want more money, and they also want more health. And it doesn't matter if it's in an up economy or a down economy, they're always going to be buying in those three markets. So being able to see what people are looking for in those markets, going out, doing that simple research that I told you, just scrolling through Facebook instead of just doing it aimlessly, be scrolling for a purpose. Now, there's a difference between being on social media and, just again, aimlessly, looking at, people's posts and stuff like that, right? Just to kill time. That is wasteful energy. But doing market research is not wasteful energy. And so looking at those things, if you're on, Instagram, I personally do Facebook because, my target market is, people who are 50 and older. And that's usually where they hang out. That's usually where they are, right? A lot of the younger people, they're on Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok. Okay. And so depending on, who you want to serve will determine what platform that you want to go to. But when you're on those platforms, you're not on it for entertainment. You're on it for research to see what videos are getting, likes, what posts are getting comments, are getting traction, right? What questions are people, posing? That is the best thing, is that if you could pick out questions that people are posting and there's like a lot of engagement where a lot of people are giving your answer, that simple question is, if you can answer that, guess what? That is a way for you to create a bridge to get people to buy your product. Does that make any sense? Right? So that's all that I have for you. I found that really interesting. I wanted to just jump on here and share that with you. So I hope that you got some value. I hope that you can see the principles that I'm trying to share, that you can kind of just squeeze to get the necessary information out of, that you can apply to your business to start seeing some results. And then also, this will help for you to not only be able to apply to your business, but to help people in your team. And you don't have to be that upline that's just giving those same old tired answers, which really doesn't help in the practicality of building your business. All right. So that's all I have. I hope that you have an awesome day. Thank you so much for listening. And as always, I'm going to talk to you in the next episode. Bye-bye. Hey, thanks for listening. If you want to hear more of how the top income earners are actually building their network marketing business beyond their family and friends, please subscribe so you don't miss any of the secret hacks that I uncover.